Israel recognition of Somaliland means formal diplomatic tie, exchange ambassador, embassies, and cooperation framework in addition to work with Somaliland on agriculture, technology, health, economic development, security, and intelligence.
What you're saying is that there will be intelligence sharing between Israel and Somaliland, for example. What's going to happen practically after this recognition now?
We will be protecting the interests of the West, especially interest of Israel. Somaliland located strategic area, geopolitical now, and is all coming to Horn of Africa. So we must share intelligence and counter Houthi, counter in Iran, because we know Iran be supplying weapon to Houthi. So, and we must share that information.
Hello and welcome to our podcast East to West, and today we're talking about Somaliland and the Israeli recognition of this breakaway region in the Horn of Africa. And to talk about this, we have Mostafa Hasan, the former Director of Intelligence of Somaliland. Hello and welcome.
Thank you to having me, JCFA in the Media Center. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much for being with us today. So only a few days ago, we've seen the celebrations in the capital of Somaliland because of the Israeli recognition of your country. Tell us first, from your perspective, why do you think it's your right to be an independent state while we see that there is a huge now backlash from Arab, Muslim, and African countries against this recognition?
In Somaliland, we are over the moon, and we thank Israeli people, Israeli leadership, and I'm sure Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, he's a strategic thinker. He knows what's best for Israel and what's best for the world. Can I give you a little the background, because people get confused. Somaliland was a union with Somalia. I spoke to you today not from anger, not from emotion, but from law, history, and the official record of the international system. The state of Somaliland is a sovereign, independent, just state, 26 June 1960. On that date, Somaliland lawfully gained independence from United Kingdom of the Great Britain, the Northern Ireland. The independence was complete and unconditional. It was recognized by more than 35 countries, including Israel. 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council was among them. Among earlier to recognize Somaliland was the state of Israel, making it the second country after United Kingdom to do so. This is not the matter of opinion. It's a matter of record. The sovereign state of Somaliland exercised full international legal capacity. It entered into international treaty in its own name. Those treaties were formally deposited and registered with the United Nations in accordance with the Article 102 in the UN Charter. They remain listed today in the United Nations Treaty Series under registration number 5346, 5347, 5348, 5349, and 5350. They are not political claimants. They are official United Nations documents. Mm-hmm. After independence, Somaliland attempted a political union with Somalia, but the truth must be stated clearly. The union never came to a legal force. There was no ratified and binding act of the union. Mm-hmm. There was no complete legal merge between two sovereign states. There was no lawful act dissolving Somaliland sovereign or transfer into another authority. What followed was not a unity. That's what I'm going to tell the people in the world, international community. They need to know that. They need to go back, UN.
And you have Israel now on your side recognizing the state of Somaliland. Why do you think that happened? Which mutual interest there is here?
Israel is the most powerful country in the world, like the United States. And geopolitical is changing. Geopolitical is changing. Israel recognition of Somaliland means formal diplomatic tie, exchange ambassador, embassies and cooperation framework after decades of Somaliland operating without single UN member state formally acknowledging statehood is practiced. This could include diplomatic legitimacy. Somaliland gave diplomatic foothold in the world stage, breaking law, standing isolation. Bilateral cooperation, Israel has publicly signaled intention to work with Somaliland on agriculture, technology, health, economic development, security, and intelligence.
What you're saying is that there will be intelligence sharing between Israel and Somaliland, for example. What does that mean practically? What's going to happen practically after this recognition now?
What's going to happen is we will be protecting the interests of the West, especially interests of Israel. You know, Somaliland located strategic area, geopolitical now, and is all coming to Horn of Africa. So we must share intelligence and counter Houthi, counter in Iran, because we know Iran be supplying weapon to Houthi. So, and we must share that information.
That was actually one of the accusations that we've heard from many countries that condemned this recognition, that Israel is now going to use Somaliland to build military bases and attack other countries from Somaliland. Is that what's going to happen, actually? That Israel will actually attack the Houthis, for example, from Somaliland or maybe other countries in the area?
I don't know if you're watching the social media last couple of days. Houthi already declared a war with Somaliland, and there's a lot of actors on the region. Al-Shabaab, ISIS, as you know, Puntland and has been attacked. ISIS, Puntland is a regional part of the Somalia, been attacked. ISIS, they got the foothold a year ago, and people of Puntland, without federal government of Somalia help, they fight back. Only help they get was the United States. So there's a lot of actors, extremists in the area, and especially Al-Shabaab. Al-Shabaab is growing. Al-Shabaab has been around last 30 years. Somali government would help international community, 30,000 African Union, they cannot contain Al-Shabaab. United States international community spending over 10 billion in Somalia failed state, and they have no bureaucracy. And still Somalia is controlling 7 kilometers in the capital of Mogadishu. Somalia has been attacking Somaliland sovereign since we restored our independence in 1990. Now Somalia is pushing the narrative propaganda. We cannot be recognized in Israel. Israel is not the first time they recognize in Somaliland. Also, Israel have a relationship majority of the Muslim country. UAE, Bahrain, they enjoy Abraham Accord. Sudan. Also, Turkey have a relationship with Israel. I don't know what's the difference. It's hypocrisy. International community, what's the different? Those Muslim countries have a relation with Israel, but Somalia cannot.
You mentioned the UAE, and this is interesting because the UAE was one of the notable countries that did not actually sign the condemnation document by the Arab or Muslim countries yesterday. But is that because of the relationship that you as Somaliland have with UAE?
UAE has been the focal point of Somaliland when it comes to economic, and the UAE we entered in the port of Berbera, and as you know, and they spend over 500 million in economic exchange to Somaliland. So the UAE is our friend. UAE has been there for us since we restored our independence. So, and we hoping UAE will be one of those countries who follow in Israel.
So you think that UAE is going to be next? In general, do you think that this is going to trigger a domino effect where more and more countries will join this initiative by Israel and recognize Somaliland? And is the United States also on the list?
Yes, recognizing Somaliland might encourage others who have long been sympathetic, but they're a big obstacle. We know some countries were rejected, and we know some countries will follow in Somaliland. Most of the government are there to principle. And we're asking African Union, fact funded, they wanted Somaliland a year ago when Riala was the president of Somaliland. They say they have no reason to stop Somaliland to gain that independence, to start their independence. They also stated Somaliland right to exist. So we're hoping United States, Great Britain, Finland, Sweden, European Union will follow the footstep of Israel, because Israel knows what the West interest is. And today, Turkey is coming heavyweight in Horn Africa. Egypt also invited by Somalia, the Brotherhood. So, and we wish all those countries will follow.
We will talk about Turkey in a minute, but before that, I want to stop and talk more about the United States' possible recognition of Somaliland. Can you tell us anything that is happening in the background? Maybe some connections with the Trump administration, explaining to the Trump administration this is going to be maybe in the context of countering Chinese influence in the Horn of Africa?
On the U.S. position, the United States has not been signaling the moving toward to recognition with officially reframed support for Somali territorial integrity. A statement have stressed dialogue, legal framework rather than unilateral recognition. And we're hoping at Donald Trump, and he understand, and he's a businessman, he understand the threat of China in Horn Africa. Also now Turkey coming in and Egypt coming in. So we hopefully, if any country were to follow Israel's step, it would be likely be those with existing diplomatic interest in Horn Africa, UAE, Gulf state, also the United States, the Western power, though nothing is certain yet.
I think that one of your biggest strength is actually the ability that you preserve this stability relatively in that region that is full of conflict. We can say many armed groups like Al-Shabaab and other groups are operating in that region. Can you tell us, as someone also that has been the director of intelligence of Somaliland, how were you able to keep and preserve this relative stability internally inside Somaliland in this region?
That is a great question, and I'm going to explain to you a different. Somaliland relatively stability compared to Somalia South has several roots. Local government, a democratic tradition. Somaliland has maintained regular election function institution for decades, despite lack of international recognition. Clan consensus structure, traditional clan system, help manage dispute and contribute to peacekeeping in the community level.
So clans inside Somaliland, they talk to each other, and that's how you preserve this stability and this understanding inside the country.
Yes, our elders our elders, traditional leaders, has a history to bring the community together. Any issue we solve without international help, with the neighbors country, focus on security strategy. Somalia and all security forces have focused maintain order and limiting extremists, infiltrating with localizing intelligence policy rather than heavy reliance on external troops.
Now, after this recognition, do you think that these groups like Al-Shabaab and others can actually target right now Israeli or Jewish interest and maybe attack inside Somaliland because of this recognition, using it maybe as an excuse, maybe because they want to prevent Somaliland from actually being a separate country, a sovereign country? Are you afraid of that? Do you think that could be happening actually?
It could be, because Al-Shabaab remain a potent insurgent force. UN and multiple expert sources describe Al-Shabaab as the primary extremist threat in Somalia and the border region, and continue to conduct complex attack, maintain recruitment network, and challenge both Somali government and allied force. U.S. and AUE counterterrorism effort have degraded some capability and eliminate elitists, but group has not been defeated yet. So it could be, but we don't have any we don't have any information right now Israeli citizen will be in target. We don't have that yet.
Okay.
It could be in Somaliland because Al-Shabaab yesterday, Mr. Ali Dere, the leader of the commander, he stated it will be retaliation in Somaliland while Israel is recognizing.
Yes, and let's go back maybe to Turkey, which is one of the most influential countries in that region, especially in recent years, and it's becoming more and more as an Israeli concern, and also a rival, and maybe more than a rival, more toward an enemy to Israel. And now Israel is recognizing Somaliland. Do you think this undermines the Turkish influence and Turkish interest in the region?
Turkey has been a major region, a partner of Somalia, with military base, training, a program, positioning himself, influence Horn of Africa actor. Now we have information, and before I left in my post, we have information. Turkey is building space to Somalia, also, and they're building a missiles ground in Somalia. We know that. And Turkey influence in Somalia is rooted in long-standing diplomatic, military, and economic tie. Israeli engagement with Somaliland does not directly displace Turkey's role, but can shift the strategic alignment in the southern Somalia politics. If Turkey deeper supported Somalia again, the fragmentation in my counterparts Israel outreach to Somaliland. But outright decline of the Turkish influence is not guaranteed.
We hope, of course, we don't reach that point, but if war breaks out because of the rapid recognition, if it happens from other countries as well, and we see Somalia becoming more and more aggressive towards Somaliland, do you have capabilities from the point of view of military and intelligence and other military personnel that can actually cope with such a threat or such a military action against you?
Yeah, Somaliland is capable to defend themselves. And our intelligence is one of the best in East Africa. As you know, we have a two country and neighbor in Djibouti and Ethiopia. We have a border. In the last 35 years, there's no single Al-Shabaab crossed our border. We apprehended more than 400 ISIS heading to Somalia. We apprehended, we arrest them, we take them to court, and we share with the international community. So Somaliland is capable, the military and police and Somaliland people are ready to defend ourselves and our country and our sovereign. So Somalia has been attacking since we restore our independence, 1960, 1991. They've been attacking economically. They've been doing a subversion to our country. They've been sending in terrorists to our country who are apprehended. So the war is not going to stop. They have been doing to 1960. They manipulate whole world, Somalia. They manipulate whole world, still controlling one street in Mogadishu. I'm born in Mogadishu. I know how Mogadishu is operate. They control in one street. The president of Somalia, he took more flights to the boat than any president in the world. Even Netanyahu, and he have over 300 flights since he take. This is the second time he come a president. And the second time he get the president, he make the decision he will attack Somaliland. He make an attack in the northern of Somaliland in Las Anod. He bring insurgents. There's a guy who operating over there named Abdi Madobe, and he's ex-Al-Shabaab, defected from southern of Somalia. So we're ready, and Somaliland is capable to defend their sovereignty.
And you mentioned Ethiopia there, and I want to ask at least a small question about Ethiopia. There has been a project or an idea that Ethiopia would gain port access or any access to the sea or the Gulf of Aden from Somaliland. Is this still on the table, given that Ethiopia did have an agreement with Somalia actually after the condemnation from Somalia for such a project, especially that it was also mediated by Turkey?
Exactly. And when we signed the MOU in 2023, as you know, and Somalia and Turkey and Egypt was the first country who condemned. and they're going to do the same thing with Israel. So in Ethiopia and my government, and they have a good relationship. And I'm not gonna talk about what kind of an agreement they have now, but Ethiopia is interested in Somaliland. Yes, that's the reason we signed the MOU. And now the new government, the President Abdullahi Erro, and have a good and great relationship with the people in Ethiopia and the government in Ethiopia. And that's a ongoing dialogue. And I don't want to interfere that because I'm not part of the government. Thank you.
Well, that's interesting. One more last thing, maybe, and we can neglect speaking about Qatar. After the recognition from Israel, we've seen numerous condemnation from different countries, but the response from your country, from Somaliland, was very harsh against Doha, against Qatar. Why is that? You used accusations like you support proxies that are connected to Islamists, connected to Muslim Brotherhood, and all of that. Why did you use this language against Qatar specifically?
I have not heard that, and because I was traveling for the last couple of weeks, but the last 48 hours in many countries in Arabs, they condemn, and because is ideology is they have to protect it, a Muslim. Mm-hmm. So what I'm trying to say is in Somaliland and Qatar, we don't have a relationship yet. And there is no solid evidence that Qatar opposition reflected deliberate drive to destabilize in half Africa. We don't have that. But I know they condemn Israel recognizing a Somaliland. That's normal. Mm-hmm. And because they has been condemned in Israel defending themselves, all those Arabs.
That's definitely normal. The question is, why did Somaliland use harsh language against Qatar specifically? Is it because of Qatari influence also in the region, and maybe the accusations against Qatar and the world in general that it funds armed groups and also supports in the background at least groups like Muslim Brotherhood and other Islamist-linked groups?
I have not seen our government criticizing Qatar on the TV. I have not seen it. And my last government, I was the part of, we didn't have any relation with Qatar, and we did not change any intelligence sharing. We did not have that. And I was focusing more on our friend UAE, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Saudi Arabia, and also in other Arab countries.
Kuwait. You mentioned Saudi Arabia, which was actually surprising to see that it's condemning this recognition by Israel, although that there is a trade between Somaliland and Saudi Arabia and other relations as well. Do you think that's only for public opinion, or that's because it's their policy? They're even talking about undermining now any possibility of normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel because of this recognition.
I saw the Islamic Council and include the Saudi Arabia condemning this. And it's not surprise. It's not something new. Saudi Arabia, we have a good relationship. And as an intelligence director, and I have met my counterpart over there in Saudi Arabia. And also we have exchanging for livestock. Our livestock, 89%, it go to Saudi Arabia. And it's a normal, they condemn, but hopefully we're waiting what's going to happen in a UN session. And as we recognize that Somaliland today is a sovereign state. And that's what we have. That's what's in the table. And that's what we worry about it. And we're not going to worry about who condemned and who is, because people has been condemned in Israel last 70 years. So it's nothing new.
Definitely. And maybe we'll finish with this, but will your president visit Israel? Will he come to here, to Jerusalem?
Definitely. I will.
And the other way around, is there a way that Israelis would be able to visit Somaliland in the future?
Of course. Why not? Of course. Right now, they'd be welcome. And our people are ready. And I don't know if you watch the social media, our people be carrying Israel's flag.
That was astonishing to see happening. Is it direct flights from Israel or any, two connection flight at least?
You can connect it to UAE or Ethiopia, and that's going to be a 35-minute from Ethiopia. and 3 hours and a half from Dubai. So it's the direct flight. Israel people are welcome, and they have been there before, so it's no issue. And because Somaliland is a civilization, democratic, we elected over 7 presidents, while Somalia, they have never held any election. You watch on the TV, the fake election, they just have one-man show. That's a Hassan Sheikh and the Brotherhood puppet. So that's the only thing it happened in Somalia. So we will welcome any Israeli who want to come to Somaliland, who want to invest, who want to and support Somaliland. We welcome.
All right. Mostafa Hasan, former Director of Intelligence of Somaliland. Thank you so much for being with us and giving us all of this information. Thank you.
Thank you, JCFA, having me, and have a good day and Happy New Year.